As September steps in, volatility trails equities market, while crude oil prices retreat following additional tariffs by U.S. and China on themselves. Now, the Naira remains stable despite decline in the foreign reserves and external market activities. Plus, Nigerian investors urged to take advantage of the Securities and Exchange Commission Complaints Management Framework. This is Business Express, the first edition for the month, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital, Abuja, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Amina Noujaim. Welcome to the program. Power generation by the nation's electricity companies hit an average of 3,862 megawatts between January and August, from a monthly average of 3,531 megawatts in July. Available data showed that the nation in January lost 41.37 billion in January, and in August 58.01 billion naira. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, has assured host communities of oil and gas installations of sustained and symbiotic engagement with the National Oil Company in such a way as to entrench mutual beneficial partnership with the industry. The NNPC GMD made the pledge during a recent visit to the NNPC Towers Abuja by members of the communities. A press release by the Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Mr. Undu Amadu, stated that the NNPC GMD and the corporation would expand the prevailing cordial relationship with its various host communities to achieve set goals and targets in this regard. The NNPC spokesperson called on host communities of oil and gas infrastructure across the country to see themselves in that light, while treating their guests and operators of such facilities as partners whose only interest is to bring development and prosperity to their domain. Nigerian delegation led by President Muhammadu Buhari to the Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development, TICAD, have returned to Nigeria with a basket full of investment ideas capable of turning the science and technology environment around. What are the lessons and the gains from the 7th edition of this conference? Let's take this background report as put together by Abdul Salam Jibril.
The Conference on African Development, TICAD, has become a major global platform for Asian and African countries, as well as international stakeholders, to collaborate for Africa's development. At the just concluded TICAD 7, the Nigerian delegation led by President Muhammadu Buhari had robust bilateral engagements which attracted a lot of opportunities, not only for the country but the African continent. A memorandum of understanding MOU was signed between Nigeria and the European Union to the tune of 50 million euros by the EU to help Nigeria's humanitarian efforts in the northeast. At the bilateral meetings between President Buhari and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan, the Japanese leader pledged the sum of $300,000 for Nigeria's Defense College, as well as 12 million yen to boost the country's health sector. The Toyota conglomerate also met with President Buhari, expressing interest in energy, healthcare and automobile sectors, while the Nigerian president insisted on having Toyota automobile plants established in Nigeria to create jobs for Nigerians. During TICAD 7, President Buhari also sought Japanese investments in renewable energy, petrochemicals and gas, maritime, pharmaceuticals and ICT. On the sidelines, President Buhari also met with South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa over the maltreatment of Nigerians in South Africa and President of Benin Republic, Patrice Talon, over the partial closure of the border. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema described the visit as a worthwhile undertaking.
Nigeria has been a part of shaping the next 3 years of TCAD, and so is in a very good position to get some of the investments that the Japanese government are going to put into TCAD. So that's obviously the main reason for being here.
While many experts have described Nigeria's attendance at TCAD 7 as successful, what are the immediate and long-term benefits for Nigeria?
Now, to find out what the benefits are, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, an economist and the former chairman, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, joins us to look at the milestones gained at the just concluded 7th edition of the Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development, TICAD, in Yokohama, Japan. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. It's actually former Director General, Abuja Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that correction. Now, the conference has come and gone, and Nigeria has participated.
That's right.
With over 20 African presidents in attendance. What would your take be on the just concluded conference?
You know, Africa is a major it's a continent that has a lot of growth potentials, and that is why you are seeing the kind of marriage between Japan and Africa, between China and Africa, and all these other countries. You know, in the past we have had China Africa Business Forum. We have also had Indian African Business Forum and American Africa Business Forum. That's to underscore the fact that there's a lot of potential, business potential in Africa. And it was good that Nigeria participated because the benefits are too many for us to have. Yes.
Now, talking about the benefits, the conference had the theme Advancing Africa's Development Through People, Technology and Innovation. Did Nigeria sell itself enough?
We must have sold ourselves enough. We're going to be having the benefits of this, the outcome of this conference coming after now. Now, what happens from now is what will determine whether we did well enough in Japan or not. Now, what happens from now is a matter of how we're able to harness the various meetings that were held in Japan and putting teams together to be able to follow up on them. Many times you discover that follow-up is always a problem. And so when we have various teams and committees to follow up on this and to see that we have eventual ends to all these things, then we are going to benefit from them. But if after the conference we sit down and wait until they come again to ask, then we may not benefit. So right now that the team is back, led by the president, we're going to be expecting that they put teams together to be able to talk about the various areas the Japanese government said they want to invest in Nigeria.
About specifics, what are we expecting to see?
Yes, I'm expecting that since the government of Japan, through their bank and of course Toyota, said they have interest in energy and in health sector. So what we have to do right now is to say, what type of energy are we going to present to them?
Let's talk about renewable
energy. Yes, that's renewable. Yes, that's right. So since they have shown interest in renewable energy, we need to identify, is it the wind, is it the solar? And of course, we know Japan has a lot of technology and all these things. So we need to specifically ask for what we want. And with the bank, the Japan Bank of International Corporation there, saying that if you're doing business with any of the companies in Japan, we are ready to fund you. So those are the leeways we're going to have, seeing that Japanese investors can come in, Nigerian investors can also be part of this. But as far as you're getting the technology from Japan, that bank is ready to support whatever thing you want to invest financially.
With power being a challenge for the Nigerian society, do you see a drastic change with power, energy, renewable energy?
That's right.
Should we expect to see a change?
Yes, if we have political will to make that change, we will have it. Once we place it on the table to say, these are the areas of our problems. We need to grow this size of this capacity of energy, and these are the problems we're having. I'm sure we're going to be having solutions. So I don't know how this problem has been presented before now, but if we present it well to these investors to say these are the areas we need help and assistance, of course we expect that we're going to have changes almost immediately.
Okay, earlier on you talked about marriage between two countries, bilateral agreements,
That's right.
trade dealings and all sorts of things. Is this a mutual beneficial arrangement?
To the extent that it's mutually beneficial, yes, it is mutually beneficial. But to the extent that we have equal mutual benefits, I don't think we have equal mutual benefits. We're still not having, we're still having trade deficit with Japan as of today. What that means is that when the trade balance with Japan is not equal, they are still having a surplus and we're having the deficit. And so all we need to do is just to take advantage of all our products that we are also having competitive advantage over most of these Asian countries or European countries, and sell them to also Japan. So if you're bringing your technology for us, we're also selling our agricultural products, we're selling our cash crops, we're selling other things that we have competitive advantage over them, and so that it will be mutual and it will be equal.
Now, talking about competitive advantage, Japan is talking about setting up an automobile plant in Nigeria, and in the long run, you're thinking jobs, you're thinking technology, you're thinking wealth creation. What other multiplier effects should Nigeria expect, and how feasible is this?
Whether it is feasible right now, I do not know, because I also read that they have signed an agreement with Ghana to set up a plant in Ghana. I don't know whether it is true. If it is true, then it's almost not feasible that they will set up another one in Nigeria right now. But if it's not true, then we're going to benefit a whole lot from that. If we have that plant here, of course, we know that we're going to have a lot of jobs to be created. We're going to be having a whole lot of multiple benefits, because a lot of people are going to be supplying one thing or the other. Jobs will be created, electricity will consume, taxes will be paid, and so the country will be better for it if we have that assembly plant established here in Nigeria. So I think there will be a lot of benefits if we have that here.
Okay, the conference brought together giants. We have the Africa Finance Corporation, the Afrexim Bank, and the AFDB, bringing finances together. Now, with Nigeria facing issues of revenue generation, how can Nigeria tap into the potentials in those financial assistance that will come with those giants?
Yeah, you know that these institutions mentioned are always there to assist. Of course, Africa Development Bank is always there to assist African countries requiring such funding. Is the ability of the country to be able to put together the kind of capital projects that will be funded by these institutions. Now, having attended this ceremony, this conference, they have also made available information to the entire world, and of course to African countries, to say we are ready to fund all these your projects if we also, we need to also follow up. You see, that's why I mentioned the issue of following up. Once we follow up, and so who is going to follow up now? Is it the Foreign Affairs Ministry, or is it?
And I put it to you,
yes,
you know, yes. Supposed to follow up.
Now that is usually where we have the gap. That gap has to be filled always. Many times these conferences take place. You see government institutions take their representatives to go. Many times they go and they take notes. They come back, that dies off, because they will be overbooked by the bureaucracy of their office. So now I don't know how many private sector investors went with this group.
Okay.
I don't know how many chambers of commerce representatives that went. And so if we have this kind of private investors going with government, and many probably bank MDs of Nigeria. Okay. So these are people who, obviously, when you're talking about these projects, they understand it because they went for that conference. We need to always involve the private sector when this kind of conference is taking place. Not just going with governors and their SAs and most of those people, ministers. No, it's not enough. While we're doing all those, because governors also need investment in their areas, while we're doing all those things, we also need private sector people to follow up on all this. Having said this, I'm sure that the Ministry of Trade and Investment should be the appropriate place to take care of this. And of course, we have the Investment Promotion Council that is there. And so I'm sure they're going to be following up on this.
So far, we've been talking about the long and medium term benefits of attending such a function.
Yeah.
Now, immediately, what can Nigeria take away?
What we need to take away from there right now is to, like I said, set up committees on this and give them timelines. Now, from the communique we got from this, or from the reports we have from this, you're going to be setting committees for energy, another committee for healthcare. What are the problems we have in healthcare, and what benefit are we going to get, since we know we have problems in healthcare? So it's for us to take the experts and set a committee and say, Japan wants to invest in healthcare. What are we going to be asking for? So everybody will come up with what they want. So setting up all these committees will be what we're taking out immediately to start with. And so when we take it, it should be free from all bureaucracy of office and bureaucracy of government, so that we can get benefits. Otherwise, the next one will soon come and we attend again and nothing to take away.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
We hope it doesn't happen.
Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, an economist, thank you for joining us on Business
Thank
Express
you very much.
today.
It's my pleasure.
There will likely be a follow-up conversation, as you say, follow-up.
Thank you.
Thank
it's my pleasure.
Profit-taking drags the Nigerian stock market down by 1% in the last week of August. Muplang Dakong has details of market performance.
Nigeria's equities market closed the month of August 2019 southwards as market sentiment sustained negative posture due to continuous sell pressure. The NSE All-Share Index depreciated by 0.99% to close the week at 27,525.81 and market capitalization at 13.391 trillion naira. All other indices finished lower with the exception of the NSE Insurance Index, NSE Merry Growth Index and NSE Industrial Goods Index, which appreciated by 1.15%, 0.04% and 0.34%, while the NSE ASEM Index closed flat. There was a total turnover of 713.141 million shares worth 13.295 billion naira in 16,237 deals. The financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart with 401.887 million shares valued at 4.069 billion naira traded in 8,627 deals. The conglomerates industry followed with 123.330 million shares worth 197.298 million naira, while the third place was the ICT industry. A total of 4,865 units of exchange-traded products valued at 76,851.65 were traded in the week in 15 deals, as well as 4,336 units of federal government bonds valued at 4.443 million naira. Price movement chart shows that 25 equities appreciated in price, 35 equities depreciated in price, while 106 equities remained unchanged.
Thank you, Moplang. At the close of trade this Monday, which is the first trading day for the month of September, the OSHA index inched up 0.14% to finish at 27,565.09 points. Market capitalization closed at 13.41 trillion naira. 111.5 million equities exchanged hands in 3,122 deals valued at 1.56 billion naira. The banking sector dominated activities with Zenith Bank, UBA and FBN holding topping the activity charts. And the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has enjoined investors to make use of the Commission's Complaint Management Framework (CMF) in expressing their reservations, if any, in the capital market. The Acting Director General of the SEC, Mrs. Mary Uduk, who made the statement in Abuja, said the aim of the CMF was to address the complaints of capital market investors. The initiative, she said, is not only to help investors lay their complaints through the right channels, but also to assist regulators in addressing the issues in the shortest time possible. Uduk said as a step further, the SEC also now closely monitors and supervises the capital market operators so that investment of investors are not violated, misused or mismanaged in any way. Global stocks tumbled Friday amid fresh sanctions by US and China against themselves as they renew trade hostilities. Muplang Dakok again has an outlook.
Global stocks dipped on Monday after the United States and China imposed new tariffs on each other's goods, reinforcing investors' worries over slowing global growth. South Africa's Africa Top 40 dropped 0.28% to close at 49,182.91. In the same vein, Kenya's Nairobi Oil Share Index, Tunisia's Tun Index, Ghana's GSE Composite Index, and Namibia Overall Index all closed in negative territory. Outside Africa, European shares rose cautiously, driven by a rally in miners, although sentiment remained fragile. FTSE advanced 0.96%, DAX gained 0.10% to close at 11,951.52, and the CAC index also inched up by 0.13%. In the U.S., stocks closed little change as Wall Street wraps up volatile August. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 index went up by 0.16% and 0.06%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index lost 0.13% to close at 7,962.88 points. Asian stocks were mixed as the new US-China tariffs go into effect. Nikkei lost 0.41%, Shanghai advanced 1.31%, and the Hang Seng Index went down 0.38%.
Fish remains an important part of household diet in Nigeria, with its consumption put at 13.3 kilograms annually. Musa Baba Aliyu reports that to further deepen the value of fish in Nigeria, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations is supporting Nigeria to boost smoked fish production for export.
That's a total fish production output of more than 1 million tons per annum. Majority of the fish is consumed domestically, where about 20% is exported. The records of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture indicate that about 1 million people work in the fish industry.
Then the total aquaculture production is just 3.13,281 tons. Then the revenue generated from the department in 2018 was 487 billion naira.
Dry fish, also known as smoked fish business, is more attractive not only to the Nigerian market but also across West Africa and Europe. For instance, Nigeria alone exports about 5 tons of smoked fish to the United Kingdom monthly, worth more than $1 million.
The dry fish come in from Maiduguri, Adamawa, Kebbi, Kogi. These are all the areas you have the River Niger and the River Benue. And they process a lot of fish here, especially in the Borno aspect, the Lake Chad area.
So I visited Kado Fish Market in Abuja, where I met Safia, Abu and Rose Ogede, smoking and drying their fish and getting them ready for market. They told me that the process is tedious as they have to endure with the smoke getting into their eyes, coupled with the heat from the fire. In fact, I find it difficult to get to their stand for the interview.
Because the smoke is too much.
And this is what the FAO intervention wants to address. The UN agency therefore donated this modern fish drying kit to boost dry fish business in the country.
And also it produces nutritious food that has consistency. It reduces these harmful hydrocarbons that are cancer causing. And it could also make the fish of export quality. So these are unique things of this.
This means that Safia and Rose and others in Kado Market will now be producing fish with ease and in more hygienic condition.
Thank you, Musa. On that note, let's see how commodities are faring in the local and global markets. And that's a wrap on this edition of Business Express. Don't forget, all previous episodes are available on YouTube, on NTA. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. #BizX. Business Express returns on Wednesday. I am Amina. Noujaim, thank you for being there.